superpowered mutants aren't just in comic books. There are real people who have been born with unusual gifts so incredible that they can only be described as superpowers. The difference, though, is that the real superpowered people don't go around fighting crime. They just go around leading normal lives, and for a pretty good reason. You should know that the superpowers that you dreamed of don't always make life easier. Sometimes this amazing gift can destroy your life. People able to stretch their skin by up to 4 inches, to withstand any pain, or to remember any detail about their lives. Today we will show you 7 people with creepy superpowers. Number 7. The little girl who doesn't feel pain. Olivia Farnsworth never feels pain. She was born with a condition called chromosome 6 deletion, which has left her with no sense of pain and no sense of danger whatsoever. In some ways, it's an incredible gift. It helped her survive getting hit by a car. The car drove over her chest and dragged her several yards before finally stopping. And yet, while her family freaked out, Olivia just got up, waved at her mother and said, "What's going on?" The only reason she survived was that her total lack of fear kept her from tensing up. For the most part, though, Olivia's condition is pretty much just horrible for everybody all of the time. She never feels tired or hungry, so her mother has to pretty much force-feed her food and slip in medication just to keep her alive. Feeling pain isn't as bad as we think, but something essential for every living being. Our bodies feel pain for a reason, to keep us from getting hurt. So you already know, maybe feeling ouchy every now and then isn't such a bad deal after all. Number 6. The woman with perfect memory. Jill Price never forgets anything. She's been quizzed on everything that's happened in her life, and she's able to perfectly recall the date, time, and every tiny detail of everything she's ever experienced. Her mind is like an unending video recorder that can replay any moment from her past. That sounds pretty cool, as long as you don't have to live through it. Price herself, though, calls it non-stop, uncontrollable, and totally exhausting. Jill Price suffers from hyperthymesia, a condition that leads people to be able to remember an abnormally large number of their life experiences in vivid detail. In fact, her memory is so vivid that she has trouble focusing on what's going on around her, or doing things as simple as learning something new. She's constantly distracted by recollections of her past, but the worst thing is that her memory doesn't actually work on things that are worth remembering. Ironically, her memory is weaker than that of many others. Number 5. The family with unbreakable bones. In 1994, a man known only as John got in a terrible car crash. By all rights, it should have killed him, but miraculously, John was completely unharmed. He had no spinal fractures and not a single broken bone. When the doctors looked into it, they realized that nobody in his family had ever broken in a bone in their whole lives. You may recognize John's life story as pretty much the plot of the movie Unbreakable. He's a real-life movie hero, a man born with unbreakable bones that are 8 times denser than the average person. And like the movie, he says his greatest weakness is water. John is simply too heavy to swim. But other people who share his condition have said that it makes life borderline unlivable in their later years. Their dense bones create what they're described as pounding and nauseating headaches, along with incredible fatigue and leg pains from dragging around their abnormally heavy skeletons. Number 4. The woman who can see 100 million colors. Most people have 3 types of cones in their eyes, which allow them to see a spectrum of 7 million colors. The other millions of colors out there in the universe are imperceptible to all but a few animals, and one woman who is only known as CDA29. CDA29 has 4 fully functioning color cone types, allowing her to see a massive spectrum of 100 million colors, including millions upon millions that the rest of us are incapable of even imagining. This would be awesome if anybody else could see them. She just sees a bunch of colors that she can't communicate to other people. For the most part, the complex shades she can see just make it hard for her to understand the colors other people are seeing. As a result, before it was confirmed that she had tetrachromatic vision, CDA29 was mistakenly labeled as colorblind. There's actually a theory that says that 2 to 3% of all women can see the full spectrum of 100 million colors, but they aren't aware of that. And what's more, in a strange twist of irony, the gene that lets some women see extra colors leaves men colorblind, meaning that CDA29 will never be able to share her unique vision with any of her sons. Number 3. The man who fears nothing. Jody Cernick isn't afraid of anything. He doesn't even have the option to be afraid. Over the course of 2 surgeries undertaken to treat his Cushing's syndrome, he had the glands that produce adrenaline removed. And now, he's physically incapable of being scared. However, there are some definite upsides to living without fear. Cernick can jump out of a plane without feeling even the slightest bit of nervousness. And he does, often. He started using his special power to do stunts to raise money for charity. But jumping out of a plane doesn't really give Cernick the same thrill it gives to the rest of us. He says that when he goes on roller coaster rides with his family, he's about as excited as we would be sitting still at the kitchen table. That doesn't mean he feels nothing, though. He still suffers from Cushing's syndrome, which has left him with brittle, arthritic bones. Now that he doesn't have adrenaline, though, he no longer has one of the body's most potential natural painkillers, meaning that every ache he feels is far, far worse. Number 2. The man with superintelligence. Daniel Tammet has a superhuman brain. He's capable of reciting pi by memory to 22,514 decimal places, and he can master languages in no time. For example, after only spending 1 week of studying the language, he conducted a full interview in near-flawless Icelandic. All of that will be great if all life required from people was to recite the digits of pi. But for Tammet, who has Asperger's, and his extremely logical brain, a lot of the illogical things the rest of us do are almost impossible to understand. Things like putting on a DVD, calling a taxi, or doing algebra equations, which use letters to represent unknowns, are very confusing for Tammet. However, the hardest challenge for him is understanding when other people's actions don't make perfect, scientific sense. Emotions, in particular, are very confusing for him. Tammet says that when he used his abilities to pull off a real-life Rain Man victory at Vegas, he had to put a fake show of happiness. He didn't really feel much of anything, but he did for everyone watching him. He knew it was what they expected. Number 1. The man with fantastically stretchy skin. Gary Turner is a real-life Mr. Fantastic. He was born with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a condition that gives him incredibly loose skin that can be stretched like a rubber band. But as we already know, every gift has its drawbacks, and Gary is in constant pain from the moment he wakes up to the moment he drugs himself to sleep. Sometimes his skin hurts so badly that he has to wear morphine patches just to get through the day. Apart from the pain, his stretchy skin has also effectively left him a hemophiliac, meaning that when he gets cut, blood usually just spills out of him without stopping. The constant bouts of unconsciousness made it impossible for him to finish school, severely affecting his options for the rest of his life. The only way he's been able to get by is to take up a job as a circus performer. He works as part of a modern freak show, showing off his condition that tortures him for the entertainment of others. Zero Zone. Venom in real life. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the fact that you haven't seen it all yet. Venom, Spider-Man's greatest foe, exists, though not in the way Marvel fans would like. The man you see in this chilling photograph is Emmanuel Altamirano, a Spanish engineer who supposedly worked for the company T-Mobile in the assembly of antennas and testing of 5G systems. His veins were infected by something that, so far, no one knows. Some have claimed that it could be due to an effect of the radiation to which he was exposed, while others claim that this man has the ability to become a real monster. Still, there is not enough information to corroborate any of these theories. Do you think it could be a hoax, or real pathology? It is up to you to decide.